Hello there, welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, consider liking and also subscribing. Right, today I'm going to be discussing The Doors. I'm going to do a quick review of their albums and in the end, a ranking. So we'll dive into that. But first, who are they? Quickly, they were a group that formed a group that basically came to prominence in '67 with their debut album, fronted by the enigmatic and volatile Jim Morrison, the lyricist, poet, writer, vocalist of the group. And the Doors provided, I believe, a much needed friction for that time in '67. Against what was really the peace, love type movement. And, there was a lot of groups, obviously, that were in that frame of mind. And I just think the Doors added that layer of darkness that was needed, I think, in that music scene at the time. So, yes, really enjoyed those guys, still do. I remember visiting his grave sometime, some years ago, actually, when I went to Paris with my other half. We went for a nice, 3 or 4 days, saw the sights, the architecture, etc. One day I decided to go, on the metro I won't even try to pronounce the name of the cemetery, but I think my wife must have thought, oh, where are we going now? Is it going to be somewhere really interesting? Yes, we're going to a graveyard. How does that sound? Because I needed to visit Jim Morrison's grave. There it was still. People had visited, leaving bottles of beer, handwritten notes, poetry, pictures, etc. The guy made a dent on the music scene, and he's still revered today by many, including myself. Enjoy his voice, enjoy the lyrics and the poetry and the music, etc. All good stuff. So anyway, The Doors. So let's dive into this rather nifty box set that I managed to get for £14, containing all 6 of the Jim Morrison albums. I'm not going to review the other 2 that came after Jim's demise from the remaining members of the group, namely Other Voices and Full Circle, because to me, trying to make the Doors carry on as a band without Jim is a bit like trying to start a car without an engine. It just doesn't work, and that's as simple as that. I prefer listening to 1978's American Prayer because I think that is, to me anyway, personally, I think it's far superior to those 2 albums. So anywho, let's go into this little box set here. 2011 40th anniversary edition with the remixes. No bonus tracks on this, but I wasn't really there for the bonus tracks. I was just happy to get it, as I say, for £14. Still shrink wrapped, haven't been opened. Brilliant stuff. So we've got the first album, of course, the wonderful debut from the Doors, with such classics as Break On Through, The End, Soul Kitchen, Crystal Ship, Light My Fire. Such a lot of hits on here, really. One of the best debut albums ever recorded in, a number of lists from different magazines and polls. So wonderful, wonderful album. And that's from 1967. And of course, 1967, the Doors released another album, because in those days, you could and did release multiple albums. You didn't just release one for 1 year and then 5 years later you churn another one out. No, you could bring 2 out, even 3 in the same year. So next up is Strange Days, again from 1967. Now, in terms of the material on Strange Days, you've got obviously Strange Days as the title track. You got People Are Strange, which is a good track. When the Music's Over. Now, I like When the Music's Over, but it seems to me that it's almost like a copy of The End. So, the end will always be my favourite. When the music's over, it's good, but I always feel that it's like a copy of the end, and it I don't know, it just doesn't seem to. For me, it doesn't seem to have that something. Um, we've got on here, I can see your face in my mind, which I think is brilliant. That's a real sort of psychedelic track there. Moonlight Drive, My Eyes Have Seen You. It's a great album from '67, but I have to say, in comparison with the first one, um, it's just not quite there. So, yeah, I don't dislike Strange Days, but I do prefer the debut, got to be honest. Now, the next one is going to be, and is Waiting for the Sun, which was from 1968. Now, despite the title of the album, that particular track isn't on here. Instead, we've got Hello, I Love You, which is an absolutely brilliant, brilliant song. Sadly, the Doors were sued over the similarity between that song and I believe All Day and All of the Night by the Kings. For me, I can quite easily accept that Hello, I Love You sounded nothing to me like a copy or rip off of a Kinks song. In fact, when I first heard Hello, I Love You, I thought it had a real 80s new wave vibe about it, actually. Late 70s, 80s new wave vibe. And I thought, God, these guys were well ahead of their time. So, anywho, so you've got Hello, I Love You, Love Street, Not to Touch the Earth, Summer's Almost Gone, Wintertime, The Unknown Soldier, which is absolutely wonderful. And, of course, very poignant at the time because of Vietnam was going on in the US, of course. My World Love, We Could Be So Good Together, which is great. 5 to 1, again, another amazing song. So, yeah, good album from '68. I've never been sort of 100% with Waiting for the Sun, to be honest. There are some great tracks on it. But, the problem is with the Doors, I find sometimes there were always good tracks on these albums. So sometimes it's just very difficult to differentiate. Which album beats the other one. The debut I don't think has much to be beaten on. The rest, it can be debatable. So what have we got next? Right, we have in 1969 The Doors, The Soft Parade. I think that is the most coolest cover ever. I love it. To me, this cover and the music on here does remind me of Sergeant Pepper to some degree. Now, I think this almost, along with the Rolling Stones for His Majesty's Satanic Pleasure or something. Anyway, I can't remember. I'm not a big Stones fan. It always seemed to me that there were so many bands that had their own sort of version of Sergeant Pepper's, like the Beach Boys and Pet Sounds, etc. For me, it was the Doors, The Soft Parade. Now on here, I got to be honest. Tell All the People, I love that. Touch Me is wonderful. Shaman's Blues, Running Blue, Do It, Wishful Sinful, The Soft Parade. It's one of those albums. It's not a go-to, but I don't hate it by any means. This was the time when they were on tour. Another album was needed, but of course, to try and write an album, let alone record it with everything else going on, was a tall order. So I think if I'm right, I've got a little booklet here as well for the Soft Parade. Now, the Soft Parade obviously has got instrumentation on it, such as you got bass, trombone, sax, English horn. I think it's mandolin actually, a fiddle, conga. All that stuff's on there. And a lot of the songs on this were written by Robbie Krieger, So you got what, one, two. So you've got one, two, three. You've got three Robbie Krieger songs, a Morrison Robbie Krieger dual writing credits on Do It. And Jim Morrison wrote Easy Ride, Wild Child again. That's a really good song, actually. The Soft Parade. Yeah, so if so tell all the people in touch me, actual Robbie Krieger compositions. So yeah, well done to him. They're great. Now then, we come back. I mean, the Soft Parade, very briefly, people did panic because they said the Doors were turning all soft and poppy and whatnot. So, but I think it's good. It's great to just, diversify, experiment with different sounds, etc. So I don't think it's really that bad an album, actually. The next one that came out, of course, was the album that people thought, wow, the Doors are back. Yay! And that is 1970s Morrison Hotel. And of course, we know this building is no longer standing. It was burnt down, I think, a couple of years back, or maybe last year, I can't recall. And of course, the cover photo, literally, the owner did turn them down, and the guys basically, when he wasn't looking, or he was behind in the kitchen area somewhere, they literally got into that in the window space there. One take, photograph, hence we have the famous Morrison Hotel album cover. So on here, now I do like this. It's got Roadhouse Blues, Peace Frog, which I think is brilliant. Blue Sunday, Waiting for the Sun is on this, you see, which I think is great. Waiting for the Sun is a great, great, great song. And you've got Morrison Hotel. Sorry, you've got Hard Rock Cafe is side one. Side two is known as Morrison Hotel. So, that's the two sides of the album. So on the Morrison Hotel side, you've got Land Ho, The Spy, which I love. Queen of the Highway, again, absolutely brilliant. Indian Summer, and Maggie McGill. All in all, an album in 1970 that I think was brilliant. Such a great, great album. And I've got to be honest, Morrison Hotel and the debut album, definitely my favourites. Right, coming up, the last one to feature Jim before, unfortunately, he passed away. And that is, of course, LA Woman. And this album, brilliant. I really do like this. You've got The Changeling, Love Her Madly, Been Down So Long, Cars Hiss By My Window, LA Woman, Hyacinth House, The Wasp, Texas Radio and Big Beat, and of course Riders on the Storm. Great, great album. Shame, obviously, that this was the last album that they made with Jim, but I'm glad it was a solid, fantastic, gritty, bluesy album that they finished on in terms of the incarnation of that band at the time. So, 6 albums officially with Jim. I've not counted the live ones. So, how would I rank these? It's a tricky one, that, isn't it? So I think I would probably go, and I hate to say it, to me, number 6, would be The Soft Parade, I'm afraid. It's a shame. There's some good stuff on it, but I can't really justify putting it any higher than that. Next will be Waiting for the Sun. I like it, but it's sort of there, but it's not, doesn't make enough of a statement for me, although I do like The Unknown Soldier. I think that's absolutely great, brilliant, atmospheric, wonderful. So, coming in at number 4 is going to be Strange Days. A good album, some great tracks on there. It's not doing too bad in its ranking, really, but, it is going to be number 4, I'm afraid. Right, number 3. That's a tricky one. If I'm honest, number 3 for me personally will be LA Woman. I do like the album, don't get me wrong, but I gotta be honest, I do prefer 2 other albums above this. So number 2. Now we got a tough one here. I think we got Morrison Hotel and The Doors, the debut album. This could flip flop any day, you know. But I will say for number 2, I'm going to go for Morrison Hotel, and number 1, I'm going to go for probably one of the greatest debut albums ever recorded, and that is The Doors. So there you go, folks. A simple review and ranking. Tell me your thoughts on it, and I will see you again. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you soon. Bye.